Hey guys, welcome back to Overflow episode. Today we have a special guest with us. We have Danton Duque.
How you guys doing?
Ooh, this is gonna be a good one because he's one of the best here at Christ for the Nations. He's one of the sound engineers here. Also a sound engineer and music director in New Beginnings Church. So Danton, we're so glad to have you here with us today.
Glad to be here, Jeremy.
So today we're gonna be talking about media production and all this, practical stuff. So our first question to you, Danton, is what are the essentials of a media department? Let's start with some, practical essentials.
Yeah. A building, definitely.
A building.
First thing you need is a building. No, obviously you need leaders that have a direct vision and direction in which you're going. Because let's be honest, you can start building something from the top to the bottom, or from the bottom to the top, or even side to side, and it won't actually make something.
That's good.
So you need a clear direction. You need a clear vision and a goal to set upon, where it's not something that's going to be easily achieved, but once achieved, you have already another goal to go to. It's not something that you just achieve and we're done and we're set forth there.
Yeah, wow, that's good.
So I think that's kind of between the practical and the spiritual side there. Practical wise, you need a team. You need a group of people that, whether paid or volunteer, they have their heart in that.
Yeah.
Definitely people that have, even if they don't know how to use the technology, or if they're brand new to this, but in that case, you need people that are willing to teach, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But if you have people that have the technical skill, the practicality of everything, that's already awesome. Obviously, you also need the devices, you need the equipment, you need the budgeting, right? You need the pastor's approval, the yes or the no for certain things, for certain ideas. But yeah, those are some of those, maybe some practical. The spiritual is something really cool that Hillsong does, is doing once a week. They have these things called team meetings, where they actually grab their worship leaders and media departments from across their campuses and actually get together every week, and they impart in them like visions and goals for the next upcoming week, and they instill in them again the overall vision of Hillsong. So that's something that spiritually is very well needed.
Yeah, wow, that's good. That's good. And when put yourself in this position. If you're the head of something, the media department. If you're the head of the media department, what are you specifically looking for in people? What is one thing?
First would be a willingness.
Right.
Before you look for the talent, before you look for the practicality, you need a willingness, because you can have somebody that's good at that but doesn't have their heart in it, and it's not going to come out good. Even though they might have the best year in the audio business, or the best editing skills in the video business. If their heart and their willingness is not in it, it's never going to be excellence, right? And not perfection, because we don't strive for that, but it's never going to be an excellence. You're never going to find it. So in people, the first thing is willingness, the want to be able to do that. Another after that would be the technical aspect of it. And if they don't have the technical aspect of it, but you see something in them that can turn into that, then that's when you invest and you pour into them as much as you can.
Yeah, that's so good. So second question, is it important for a media department to be spiritually connected to the worship team? So, when a worship team is up there on stage, is it important for a media team to be on the same page with them, on the same spiritual level, and stuff like that? So what do you think about that?
Yes, definitely. If they're not spiritually connected, it looks like you have two captains trying to steer a ship. And once you have that, you're going to have division. You're going to have a media department that's trying to go one way and has a completely different direction and vision. And you're going to have a worship department which is in the exact same boat, except just looking backwards. They're not looking forward. They're not looking at land. They're looking back at ocean.
Right.
So you definitely need to be connected spiritually. And it's important because every Sunday, it's a life and death situation.
Right.
So if you're not spiritually connected to each other, you have a whole entire church that you're not just steering the ship filled with worship leaders, right? Or filled with your volunteers for that department. You're steering a ship filled with however big your church is, whether it's 50 people, 100 people, you're looking at 100,000 people.
Right.
So that's why it's important, because at the end of the day, it's not your stage. And it's not your platform. So you have to know that you're in a platform that first is God's, and that you're helping him steer a boat. That there are let's say thousands of people inside of it with you.
Wow, that's insane. Okay, and let's stay a bit on this topic here. What are some of the ways that as a media department, we can grow closer to the worship team? Because many times, in churches, back when I came from, we're very separate. The media department is
Mm-hmm.
one department itself. Worship department is one department itself. So what is one way or a few ways that you can think of that helps with this?
Um, One of the ways is definitely getting your leaders together before you get all your Indians in the same boat. Get your chiefs together and make
Right.
sure that your views are in the same place or aligned. That there will be places and moments that one will have to withhold more so that the
Mm.
other's vision can go through and vice versa. But make sure that your chiefs are all in the same place and that they're in the same agreement.
Right.
And after that, you'd start doing some weekly meetings or monthly meetings. Obviously, everyone's schedule is different between churches
Yeah.
and departments. But definitely, it's one of those things where not just get together to just a fellowship, but to have some kind of Bible study, to have some kind of physical aspect, even if you're bringing people from outside or just watching videos on other pastors from Bethel,
Yeah.
Elevation, Hillsong, whoever it is, but having people impart in them some visions and things that already work out there. But now don't exactly just try copying it, because
Yeah. Yeah.
copying
Yeah.
it, you're probably going to fail, to be
Mm-hmm.
completely honest. You
Yeah.
need to figure
True.
that out and see what's for you and try to drive that forward for your church.
Wow. Wow. That's so good. That's so good. And for our third question to you is, if you're the head of the media department, what do you think a mission statement should be? Or let's put it this way, what do you think the culture of a media department should be,
Yeah.
in church or even in a school setting like Christ for the Nations?
Yeah, for a mission statement, first thing I would say is you need to have a heart for God.
Mm.
After having a heart for God, I would say you need to have eyes for video and for lighting and ears for sound. It's one of those things. None of them work separate from another.
Mm.
So your mission statement has to, in some way, put all those three together. And having a heart for God will automatically set you on the right path, right?
Right.
And after that, it's having eyes for video, eyes for lighting, and ears for sound, putting everything together and exactly seeing what is God's heart in
Yeah.
that culture, in that area. Everyone's culture is going to be different, right? No matter where you are, different locations, different places. And even in culture, I think for culture, everyone's culture is going to be different, right? No matter what state you're in, country you're in, even city, based off those kind of different things. It's going to be in a sense of how is the culture already around you? Are you living in the ghetto? I mean, these
Yeah.
are practical questions. Are you?
Yeah.
Is your church in the ghetto? Is it in a higher place,
Mm.
middle class? Is it in the downtown of the city of the metroplex? It's figuring out what the culture is
Mm.
and learning about that culture, but not deciding to just immerse yourself in the culture of that location, but trying to figure out what's the culture of God for that place.
Yeah.
And if you can find that out, that's awesome.
Yeah. Wow, that's so good. This episode has been fire. Wow, that's really good. And this is a question that we always ask our guest speakers, what would you tell your younger self before you started in the ministry? For all those worship leaders starting out there, churches coming up, especially with all this media stuff. What is one thing that you would tell yourself?
I would say don't try getting caught up on all of it.
Mm.
I think all of us have been places in our lives where we've tried to engulf ourselves so much in what's happening, where we live for the followers, for the likes, for the views, and fortunately and unfortunately, that's where today culturally that's where we are. It's
Yeah.
where who has the more views, who has the
Right.
more likes,
Right.
how many people are currently watching me on live stream, things like that. I would tell myself not to get whatchamacallit, just swallowed up by all of that.
Right.
Do you
Mm.
think about who you want to be and what God wants you to be? That's the first thing I would tell myself. And second, I would tell myself try harder.
Yeah.
I know there are many places in my life where I thought I was trying as hard as I can, and I chose to either give up or take another route. But now being older, going, wow, if I had only stayed in that same place
Mm.
where I was and kept on pushing through that
Right.
envelope, I would have not made it, but I would have figured something else out with
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Not in the way of I make it in the world, all that stuff. No, if God wants you there, He's going to put you there.
Mm.
But if I can make it in God's eyes first,
Mm.
then in the future I'm not going to find myself falling.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, Danton, thank you so much for imparting
No
so
problem.
much wisdom. That was really good. So thank you for being here with us. And yeah, see you guys in the next episode.